We're ready when I start to speak. My name is Markowitz. I am a 7-year resident of Clark County. I moved here from New York in 2005. Born and raised on Long Island, but I am raising 3 children with my wife of 12 years. Sorry.
You shut that door.
I thought that was me. I am, as I said, I'm raising 3 children here in the Clark County Public School System. In the northwest side of town with my wife of 12 years. Jackie and I have decided to make Southern Nevada our home. Several reasons: taxes, opportunities for our children, opportunities for ourselves. For many years I was traveling for business. I am a business consultant. I have been working in the financial services industry for nearly 15 years. I'm a licensed New York attorney. I do practice in some federal courts and on the ProHack admissions and some in others. But I chose to run for the county commission because I was looking to, I looked at the events that have transpired since I've moved here, the devastation in the housing markets, the lack of opportunities, the cutbacks in the schools, the things that brought me here all of a sudden started to disappear. And I noticed that the things that didn't disappear was the people making the decisions and the legislatures and the direction. So I wanted to bring a fresh perspective to things.
Thank you very much. We'll now open this up for questions by the panel members. Let's start on the, we can start in the middle with Rob Lauer. Rob, would you like to begin?
Sure. As you might know, the veterans courts here in Clark County are really significant to vets who have served and who are going through some real serious personal issues right now. And those who are charged with misdemeanor drug offenses and other minor offenses end up in front of the veterans courts. Are you familiar with the veterans court, number one? Number two, if so, how would you expand or improve on it? And do you support it?
I am familiar with the veterans court. I have not sat in on any of the Is that better? Okay, sorry. I am familiar with the veterans courts. I have not had the opportunity to sit in on any of the events that have transpired there, but I believe that it's it was a smart move on the judicial system's part to develop those courts. My understanding, and I don't wear the uniform. I've never worn a uniform. My father served in the reserves. My father-in-law served in active reserves and went active duty. My brother, my younger brother, just retired 21 years in the Air Force, and he just retired actually last month. So I'm familiar with the exposure of events to veterans, and of course we live in a town that's filled with both active duty personnel and retirees. The court, in my opinion, addresses a very important issue. The old joke was that we used to have bad guys do good things. Now we have good guys do bad things. And it transpires to an event where people are substantially affected by it. And I think the court system that is aware of those events that have caused a lot of things is important to deal with veterans, especially specific issues that may have drugs, for example, or alcoholism, and so forth.
Thank you. Any follow-up?
No.
Karen?
Good afternoon, Warren, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Because I know I'm louder than you. There seems to be a trend of our elected officials increasingly and blatantly disregarding the will of we the people, our laws, and our Constitution. Is there something you could tell me that would assure me or convince me that you're going to uphold the will of we the people better than anybody else could?
Yeah, the only way I can assure you that I would uphold the will of the people is by being elected to the position. It would be the people's voice putting me there. It wouldn't be an appointment. I believe in the right to petition. I believe in the right of the people to voice their opinions. I believe in the right of the people to influence their government. And as an individual, I have joined the American Independent Party, which is a more conservative political organization here in the state that was started by people that want to have more of an influence on their government and have less of an influence of government in their personal lives. Government is there to serve, not to be served. And that's the way it should work, period.
Thank you.
Follow-up question? So you're an independent and you're not a party member?
I'm a member of the Independent American Party, the IAPs. We're the big I on the
So
ballot.
you're running as an independent?
Yes, sir.
Wait, any other questions, Mr. Phelps?
Well, I would actually,
We're kind of limited.
actually, I'd like for you to do as Mr. Hurd did and outline where your district is.
The easiest way I can describe my district is the northeast quadrant of Las Vegas. It runs from effectively, I think just a little bit further north than here, all the way up through the Mesquite, Logandale, Bunkerville area, that whole area. It's really almost the 12 to 3 o'clock section if you put a clock on a map of Las Vegas and just ran the numbers straight up.
So that's pretty much an agricultural area?
There's a large amount of agricultural north of where I live. To give you an example of where I am, I happen to be in probably the furthest northern part of Clark County, well, in Las Vegas, because I live just south of the new gun range that was put in.
What say ye on the water issues?
In reference to what, sir?
Well, apparently there's problems with the water here in Las Vegas. It's getting more expensive. And in fact,
You've noticed that, huh?
Water is actually probably more expensive than gasoline if you really break it down. Water is one of the most expensive substances on the planet. So if you're out in the agricultural area out there, what are you going to do to protect the people out there to keep them from losing their water rights down here to Las Vegas for the metropolis?
There has to be a balance. Number one, we can't take the water blatantly without compensating the owners of those rights. Number two, we need water to keep the economic engine of our county and our state running. They need water to keep us fed. There has to be a balance. I do believe that the pipeline that was developed or proposed and is being developed should be developed. I believe we should get the water from areas we can.
Mets or Yankees?
I'm a Queens kid. Oh, also Jets and Islanders, if that helps you.
Actually, I was with the Mets at one time.
Oh, cool.
All right. Can you just kind of go over the differences between yourself and your opponent? And also, you know, where do you see the county being able to maybe save some money in these budget strap times?
The county, in terms of the budget, let me start with the savings part. We have to squeeze every nickel we possibly can out of every penny, not the other way around. We have to get it, the county has to start living like the families that live here. We don't have an endless supply of capital to work with. Everybody has a limited amount of money. I think we need to seriously consider where our county dollars are being spent. I tend to agree with Mr. Herr. There's a lot of expenditures that I don't understand that are being made when everybody's turning around and saying we don't have any money. I live up at the north end of Jones and 215, and they're rerouting the entire road system up there between Jones and Decatur. It makes no sense. The business isn't there. Where the money is coming from, I'm not really sure myself. So we have to look at those things. And in terms of the differences, I think I bring a fresher perspective. He's been in office for quite some time and may just be stale.
Who would that be?
Tom Collins. He is an independent businessman from, I believe it's Logandale. So I'm not saying he doesn't have skills, I'm just simply saying that I think that his perspective on the way things are handled here needs to be changed.
Can you point out, is there philosophical differences between you and him?
I'm more of a fiscal and independent conservative. He's a Democrat. You do the math.
Thank you. Mr. Webster?
Okay, part these debt relief questions. It's simple. I think the federal government's doing enough, and what the county can do to help.
I don't think the federal government is doing anything.
And I agree. So what can the county commission do to boost this, change this, influence this, whatever?
One of the things I see wrong with the way we're dealing with the foreclosure issue in this state, and I mean the state, not necessarily just the county, but in the state itself, is we're a non-judicial foreclosure state. And I believe that's the biggest problem we face right now. I think the county needs to petition the legislature to move from a non-judicial foreclosure state to a judicial foreclosure state. I think a lot of the issues that we're facing with foreclosure happens to be the fact that if you claim to own the obligation. You can foreclose on somebody's house without a court of law even stepping in. It's a system that worked when we were less populous, when we had more personal interaction between ourselves and our bankers, but I don't believe it's a system that works now. And that's how I think we should fix it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a follow-up question. Do you think that the county has the jurisdiction or the authority to keep banks from auctioning houses off for $35,000 in neighborhoods where people like myself have lived for 10 years, have never missed a house payment, and now my house value is much lower. It's down to the 85,000 mark. But I have these banks that are coming in and selling houses at foreclosure auctions for $35,000 in my neighborhood. It seriously undercuts me, and I think it's fraud. I think it's unfair trade practice. Shouldn't they, and so here's my real question, shouldn't the banks be held to a minimum standard, a minimum bid on foreclosed houses to protect the honest residents of the city?
I don't believe that putting a artificial floor on the price of anything is going to make this problem go away. Bottom line is, if you're willing to pay $35,000 for a house as opposed to somebody paying $55,000, the house is valued at $35,000. My house is worth 35% of what I paid for it in 2005. That doesn't make me happy at all. And artificially doing it is not going to work.
Thank you. Let's come over here to Juan Colquitt.
Mr. Markowitz,
Yes, sir.
assuming that you do get elected day one, it would seem to me the biggest hole in your budget is going to be UMC, addressing two issues there. Number one, the administration of the unfunded pension liability, and number two, the indigent population that hospital is set to serve. Tell me, if you will, how you plan on paying for UMC, or do you sell it off?
I do not know the details of the budget issues with UMC well enough to tell you how I would fix them. How I would address them would be, I would first start with the basic cash flow collection. I would work on trying to collect as much money that was owed to the hospital for services put out as possible. That's number one. Number two, I would look to ways to increase revenue within the hospital itself from a business standpoint, such as possibly going after the federal government for monies that's owed for services provided to the indigents under mandated programs. And in terms of the unfunded pension liabilities, that may require actually busting the pensions, going right after the system itself and fixing it, moving it from a pension program to a 401k program.
So follow up, then as a county commissioner, you're willing to take on the state and take on PERS?
Why not? It's an obligation I have to pay one way or another. If I fight them now, I may be able to save myself some money later on. Again, I don't have all the details, and under the basic structure you've laid out, those are the things I would consider.
I have no questions.
So I have a question about the Independent American Party.
Yes, sir.
I just read on your platform you're vehemently opposed to illegal immigration and I guess the presence of illegal immigrants in this country.
Well, aren't you?
So you are?
Personally, I am. I came from
Okay, I want to read you something. You're aware in Alabama that they just passed the harshest anti-immigration law in the country, right?
No, but go ahead.
What do you mean, no?
No, I'm not aware of it. I wasn't.
You're not aware of what happened in Alabama with regard to immigration?
Why should I worry about Alabama? I live in Nevada.
Okay. So you're not aware of the
Why don't you
immigration law in Alabama at all?
Tell me about it.
So you're not?
No, I'm not.
Okay, then I'm not even going to ask my question.
Okay, do the panel members have any further questions? Very good, then this has been Warren Markowitz, County Commissioner, District E candidate. Thank you very much for attending. We appreciate your coming today. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. We're a little bit before our allotted slot for County Commission District C. If all the candidates are here, we can begin. Let me see, who's here. Do we have Gary Hosea?
Very good job.
Yes. Craig Olay? And Commissioner Larry Brown.
25 years.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll take a break, and, or is there any representative here from Mr. Brown's office? All right, so we're early. We start the next session at 12:30. So we'll take a break now.
1993.
I probably have one of your baseball cards.
Do we shut the camera off?
Sue?
Can we shut the camera off?
Did you coach the majors at all?
Hey, Coach, Herbal,
I'm not sure I should be the one touching this camera. I tend to break equipment.
That's all right.